Thank you for staying with us. Jide, I miss you guys.
It's good to be here.
And it's the very first.
It's good to
It's
make
the very first from Abuja.
Yes.
That's great.
The
That's
nation's
great.
capital.
Good fit.
Yes.
10 years after.
We've always wanted to do this. We've always wanted to have even an interactive show in the federal capital. We made plans in the past that didn't work.
Yeah.
But it's a good thing that the viewers are seeing us from the beautiful capital of the Nigerian Federation, Abuja. So hopefully we'll do this many times more.
So I'm still a member of the house, still a member of the team.
Yes, we've gone nowhere. We have not retired. We have not retired you as a journalist and emeritus.
AY.com. Oh my.
Nice to see you, Abuja,
And
bro.
good to be here with you.
Most of the time you travel all the way from
But you
Abuja
came
to
here,
Lagos.
you came to Abuja, and you became a landlord without us. We'll find you.
All right. Despite a 15-day emergency food supply initiated by the federal government for the release of about 300 million litres of petrol, biting food scarcity persists nationwide. As a result, major marketers have urged Nigerian National Petroleum Company Limited, NNPCL, and the Nigerian Midstream and Downstream Petrol Regulatory Authority to extend the emergency fuel supply for another 2 weeks amid the ongoing crisis, where fuel prices have increased to about 1,000 naira per litre in some cities. Marketers maintain that emergency supply must continue for the next 2 weeks until petrol is readily available across the country. Meanwhile, the NNPCL has opened up reserves for abundant supply of petrol to marketers. Jide, please update us what is happening. Some will say logistics, some will tell you that major marketers, some will tell you that NNPCL as the only government agency that lifts this product from outside the country, that it has something to do with government.
Yes, I have to say that it is not, at least from evidence that we got in the recent past. There was no time that NNPC was the sole importer of petrol. Somehow they got some of their friends involved. Remember when we had the contaminated fuel issue?
Yeah, that's
remember the people indicted.
Yes.
The people brought the product into the country. Remember that they were not NNPC. It was a different company.
Yes.
So
till now, nobody
publicly indicted, but the company that actually brought the product, we got to know. You know, I think they brought it from Belgium or somewhere. Now, that's to quell the claim that NNPC alone. I know, at least I know a company into oil and gas that was importing along with the NNPC. You know, in that sector, it is what they want Nigerians to know that they tell Nigerians. We've always demanded for greater transparency, greater accountability, and all that. That always doesn't happen. They do not tell you the truth.
Yes.
When there is crisis, they do not tell you the whole truth.
Yes.
Now, it has taken one of the stakeholders to say, so look, we're having this problem because some companies that used to, some refineries that used to sell petrol to us were on turnaround maintenance. And then we are hearing that smaller vessels are now increasingly getting involved in importing the product, which means that it will ultimately lead to some supply hiccups. The point that I think has to be stressed is what the marketers have said to the NNPC. They say, okay, you have commenced emergency fuel supply. After 1 week, we are advising you to sustain the emergency fuel supply for another 2 weeks. That is the only way that we can have sufficiency. Because once these supply hiccups begin, it takes a while to clear out. They just announced to us that about 4,000 trucks left Lagos, heading for different parts of our country. Those trucks, if some of them will be going to maybe Maiduguri, for example, it could take 2 weeks. They could be on the road for 2 weeks, or a little less than 2 weeks. So for this whole mess to clear out or clear up, it will take a while. Nigerians only need, yes, because you must supply constantly before things will normalize.
For electricity,
for
cars.
You look at Abuja, is easing up in Abuja. No doubt about it. But it's not easing up in Lagos and Ogun states. People are suffering.
Demand.
Yes, of course. We have the bulk of a greater chunk of the filling stations in our country are located in that area. That's why even the supply to Lagos, compared to other parts of the country, is usually humongous. Because it's a big commercial center, so many filling stations here and there. The NNPCL has managed to provide the major marketers with petrol. They were talking about 300 million litres for those marketers. But the independent marketers, who are clearly in majority, they service the rural areas and they still have presence in the urban centers. Ipman has far more filling stations than major marketers. Ipman has been complaining that they do not have sufficient supply. So where you see filling stations, where you see people in Lagos lining up in filling stations to buy fuel, they are major marketers.
Yes.
You must make sure that this supply trickles down to the independent marketers who have far more outlets than the major marketers. It is when you've been able to do that, that those independent marketers now have sufficient supply. That is when this crisis will go down. How many NNPC outlets, for example, do you have in the rural areas? How many of the major marketers have outlets in the rural areas? Yet, they all need
the mobile total.
Petrol. Yes, the totals of this one, the Owandos, they are largely in the urban centers. Even where they are in the semi-rural centers, they are very few. So the people who service the bulk of the Nigerian population, they are the independent marketers, and they've been complaining that they are not getting supply. In fact, their president came on air to say they have thousands of tickets with the NNPC at the depots, and they've not been given a single drop of petrol. That was sometime last week when we brought him on Politics Tonight. So until you supply sufficiently, and it goes down to all those independent marketers, we are not going to come out of this problem.
Well, must we pass through this curve every 2 years, every 6 months? It's something that's perennial. That can we have a steady supply, a system that will not be halted, a system that will not, will suffer any hiccup, let's say 5 years at stretch?
Well, there is no human arrangement that is foolproof. Of course, you can have hiccups. So it's when it raises concern when such stays, for more than necessary. There are fundamentals that we may need to address to ensure that we get off this curve. And one thing you can also notice from his explanation is that we have refused to give full deregulation to the downstream sector. And I think that is affecting us, very squarely. There are, issues of logistics also that he has explained. There are inadequate trucks to go around. If you don't have the trucks to go around, you may have the product, but how do you get them delivered? The bad roads are there. So if we don't address the bottlenecks in the logistic chain of delivery, we may still not be able to get off this curve easily. Again, there are fundamentals. Of course, you have heard that we have heard complaints of not just the inadequate vessels, but the fact that vessels are costly. The high cost of vessels is also another major problem contributing to this factor. Not just the mother vessel that lifts the oil, but also the daughter vessel that takes fuel from
the bigger vessel.
Yes, from the bigger vessel to distribute along the coast. Again, we have issues around that area too. Then you also have the exchange rate issue. We have not addressed all of this. So I think we may just need to, well, somehow we will see that this will, it will fade off, but I think it won't just be immediately. We may not be able to get it off completely, but I think we may be able to reduce the rate at which they occur, the frequency, and again the period. It is taking such a long time. I don't think it should take this long. Compare if you're looking at the capacity of the NNPCL after the privatization, I think they should do better. Being a company that is focusing now on making profit for the country.
This commodity, this product is tied to so many things in Nigeria, and is like tied to our prosperity.
It's a big driver of inflation.
I'm telling you.
In fact, I never believed that a subsidy remover would give the ripple effect of the kind of inflation we saw. I'd never in my
life
thought
30%.
I was thinking of maybe 20. I'd never believed. So it shows how important this is to the economy of the nation. And of course, no nation will play with the life wire of its economy. You can't afford to do that. So I think we should.
I've always argued that we've got to find a way to even decentralize loading of petroleum products.
Yeah.
President Buhari, as a military head of state, built depots across the country. But a lot of those depots are not being used now. Or, for example, you need to find out when was the last time they used the Ore depot.
Yes.
You can say that, yes.
For those depots to be used,
not even 50%
are we going
capacity.
to involve the pipelines?
Yes, of course. We have to pass.
That's where there are problems.
A lot of those pipelines, you can't even use them now because they've been breached in so many areas. If you can't pump products through them at this time.
Yeah.
I was asking the question that, okay, if Kaduna refinery, which they told us is about 60% ready, if we are to put it to use, how do we get crude? How do we get crude to Kaduna refinery? When was the last time we pumped crude oil through the pipelines?
Or even service the pipeline itself?
That place. Because over time, those pipelines had been vandalized, destroyed by people who wanted to steal petroleum.
Communities.
Yes, those communities are complicit in the destruction, in the stealing of petroleum products, and they've left those pipelines in a terrible state. And at this time, you can't be even suggesting that we should build a new network of pipelines to connect all of our 4 refineries. It's going to be difficult and so capital intensive at this time to do that. Then, if we do not find a way, either by revitalizing some of our ports that have been neglected over the years, so that we can push petroleum products to those ports, and then people in communities closest to those ports can go and evacuate the petroleum products so that their people can then. Everybody is traveling all the way to Lagos to lift petrol.
That Papa Road.
That's why they damage the road.
Pressure.
Those roads, you see, our roads are not designed to carry dead weight.
For heavy trucks. Yeah.
Carry dead weight for so long. But you see them stationed on that place for weeks. They are just on the same spot, damaging the road in the process. So, if everybody is going to lift petroleum products from Lagos, from those tank farms in Lagos, and going all the way to Maiduguri,
wow,
going all the way to Maiduguri, going all the way to Kaduna, in excess of 1,000 kilometers. And given the state of our roads, they can't run. If you run, you end up tripping over.
Terrible
and that's
state.
a lot of money lost. So you cannot have improvement in logistical improvement if we continue to all go to Lagos to lift and then drive all the way
It doesn't make
to
sense.
the north. No, we've got to find a way to decentralize it. We've got to find a way to do so
yes.
that we can reduce the pain.
The first thing I mentioned was food deregulation. And again, I said the bottlenecks in our distribution chain, if that needs to be addressed. When the government newly came in and we were trying to put some things forward, I was one of those that advocated for a non-military person to be the security advisor, because then I gave my reasons. I said we have fundamentally economic insecurity aside from the terrorism. Aggression is largely internal. Now, if you look at the insecurity around our economic life, it is so terrible that if we don't tackle it, you can't even control illicit fund movement. You can't even put data on what you can't even do proper forecast on what you're expecting to get. Now, we keep spending money on securing pipeline using non-state actors. How about our military formation? What happens to our Navy? What happens to them? Is it that we must engage?
Capacity.
Don't they have the capacity? We've even drafted the Civil Defense Corps. You need to see how people struggle to get posted to those areas, whether in the Civil Defense Corps or in other formations.
To do what?
So that shows you clearly that those you have sent there to watch over the cookie jar are by themselves putting their hands into the cookie jar. So if we don't have an holistic reform in that sector to ensure that we're able to police our system, police our asset, our national asset, we can just come here, we can just cry day and night and things would not improve. He just told you that even if we fix the Kaduna refinery, how do you send products through the same pipeline that have been, balkanized, vandalized? It's so much that those who are what we are lifting in crude from those places, they can compete favorably with what we think we are even exporting. Unfortunately, we don't even have the data. So we keep losing daily and we keep borrowing money when we can as well short the waste, whether the waste along the economic lifeline or the waste in government. If we can do that effectively, we won't be borrowing to this level that, in fact, maybe we will need to borrow so much that Nigeria is doing 106% of its income on debt servicing alone. So I think if we're serious,
we have the capacity to produce more than 2,000.
More than 2 million.
More than 2 million liters.
Are you sure we have the capacity?
More than 2 million barrels. But
the potential, we have the potential.
No, but we've done that before. We've done it before. In the past, we did it. Now,
but it got to 900 plus.
It was, at a point, it was even less than that. There was a time when the militants were attacking oil installations, including export terminals. They brought us down to about 500.
Okay.
Before government now met with them and they found a way. The former vice president and Ibe Kachukwu, they found a way to placate those boys and things improved. What I'm saying is that in Andoni, in Ogoniland, in all of those places, when was the last time we actually prospected oil in Ogoni and some of these places? And there are wells in those places.
Many of them.
Many of those wells are simply capped. They just lock them.
Yes.
There are many communities where we've not gone at all.
Yes.
So that's why I'm saying that we have the capacity. But does the NNPC have the capacity? If you ask me, the answer is no.
If you say we have the capacity,
we need to bring more investors.
Where's the capacity? If they don't have it,
You need to know. looking at what we have
NNPC,
on grant, that's
do
the
they have
point
it?
I'm making. NNPC does not have it. I'm saying that we need to bring more investors.
I agree.
You know, some investors are leaving. As they are leaving, we need to bring in more investors into our oil industry so that they
100%
can
agree.
help us. Even some of those running who have these small refineries, modular refineries,
Yeah.
some of them can be encouraged to actually go to a lot of these oil wells that we have abandoned and actually get them working.
They hardly get product from
All right.
the NNPC.
Moving on
No,
now.
they hardly.
All right.